really see any strong signal that we're going to be experiencing any great level of depreciation. I think that, the steam is a bit out of the kettle in terms of urgency. And, as to one point, you may not see 30 people look at the house, you might see 10, but they're still quality 10. And you may not get that extra discretionary 10K on the price, but you're going to see a continued strong market within relative terms. And I don't think you're going to see prices depreciate too much simply because we just don't have inventory replacement.
Mary, you've been in the top 0.25% of agents across the state for years. You've sold, on average about 100 homes a year for many years straight. You've seen a lot. You've been in the business here in Connecticut for 30 plus years. Have you ever seen a moment in your career where we've had this little inventory to work with? Have you ever felt a moment similar to this where there just hasn't been homes available for buyers to purchase?
No, I don't think so. I think this is a unique blend, and often I stop to think about it. And I have to say, when you go back, this is entering year 37, sometimes certain things are a bit rusty in recall, but there's just a whole new level of dynamic. And of course, as we've talked about in the past, every decade, we've seen so much change, not only within our industry and how the industry relates to the product, and Connecticut, as many other states that really weren't as highly thought of as a place to live, has become more of a focal point and a grounding level because of the pandemic and the fact that people can work, or many can, not all, from different locations. And so we still are attractive when you look at the shoreline comparative to other parts of the country. So putting that in perspective, no, I don't think I've seen any market where we have such demand and yet limited inventory on every level, from rentals. I mean, that category is just outrageously scary, to where you have little to no multi-units.
One of the reasons is we saw over 1,200 less new listings in the month of June in comparison to last year. And the good inventory, there is a difference between some good inventory and then some maybe pie in the sky inventory that's out there. That's just getting snapped up very quickly. It's to everybody's point here with the interest rates that have risen. It's not to the level of maybe 30 offers on a property. It might be 5 or 10 on that property. It's not as savage as it was last year. And I said on this show a bunch of times, like, hey, if you're looking for like that moment where you can have 30 offers, we're at the top of that mountain. And we are on the other side of the mountain where you're just not seeing that because, let's face it, 6% interest rates or whatever they are have pushed some people out. But there's still so many buyers, to both Mary and Brian's points before the break, that want to buy a house. We've got 5 million more 35-year-olds in this country than we did in 2007.
What lenders will look at this is it's going to be called a compensating factor, meaning if you're on that borderline of getting approved or not approved, and you can show a rent history of on-time payments, that might push you over the edge. What I don't think is going to happen is just if you made your rent payment on time for the last 4 years, but your credit score is low, your debt to income's too high, it's still going to be based off your credit, your debt to income, those are going to be the more important factors than your rent history. Although they're rolling it out July 10th, we'll see how it goes. But to Byron's point, yeah, you could send the Venmo to prove. So what they're going to look for is you prove that you paid it on time. So again, you have that 15-day grace period. If you pay it on the 16th or 17th day, that's not going to help you at all. That will hurt you. So they want to make sure you're paying your rent on time. And then more importantly, what I tell people with lower credit is there's companies out there that will report your rent to TransUnion and Equifax, and that'll boost your score up. I think that's more important to get that score up, because I do think your credit score, debt to income is all going to be much more important than that rent. But I do think it'll help those borderline people that are, let's say you're just not qualifying, and then they're going to have that rent. It might push you over the edge. So we'll see how many more people it's helping. But I think the article makes it seem better than it actually will be. Again, that's just my opinion on it.